Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's full council of East Grinstead Town Council. It's lovely to see you here for my my last full council as mayor, which is exciting and a relief. I'm tired. We'll start with public question time. Are there any members of the public that wish to ask any questions? In that case, we shall move on to item number 2, which is apologies for absence, please.
We have apologies from Councillor Pond, who has a personal commitment, and Councillor Peacock, who has a work commitment.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to accept those. Can I have a second for that?
I will second those, Chair.
Can I have a show of hands? Thank you. Item number 3 is to confirm the minutes of the town meeting held on the 29th of January. This is for accuracy only. I'd like to propose those. Can I have a second, please?
I will second those, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions about the minutes?
Chair, if I just clarify, it's the council meeting, not the annual town meeting.
Yes. In that case, I'll show of hands for the minutes.
Carried.
Item number 4, see declarations of personal or pecuniary interest. Are there any new declarations to be made? No. Item number 5, town mayor's announcements. Can we circulate the list of engagements?
We certainly can. Would you mind if you want to pass them on?
Just while they're being passed round, the town clerk has asked me to note that we are getting a new portrait of the King next week. So the Queen will be coming down for the rest of the summer, and we will be having the King out there. All ready for the new mayor.
Good timing.
Just one.
We're going to go through very quickly some of the events that we've had. It's always a little bit quieter just after Christmas. The mayor's diary isn't quite as full as it is on the run up to Christmas, thank God. I haven't managed to catch my breath. But there have been some very lovely, very important things I'm going to highlight for you. 27th of January, we had the Volunteers Fair in the Crown. That's just always an inspirational event that I recommend councillors and the public to attend, where we really do see the best of East Grinstead's organisations out there, not only asking for volunteers, but setting up shop, explaining what they do, and just the community buzz in the room there is brilliant. The Lions Senior Local is obviously a lovely event. Watching everyone dancing around Sackville as they slowly get more befuddled by their feasts and alcohol is a great one. Then in February we had the monumentous opening of the Sunnyside Barn, which, as I said in my speech when I opened it, was very important to me, as I was invested there as a beaver and a cub. I then went on to become a cub and a scout leader there, and to see it retained and back into community use is lovely. And actually my daughter recently with the Sea Cadets, and it was nice to see her back in there. So to see that open again, brilliant. The veterans' breakfasts are continuing, and I don't know how many people have been to those there, but they are every month, and they are really good. Paul Greig is doing a huge amount of work bringing those to the town and getting more people. They need a little bit more support. Starbucks are there providing catering and things, and it's really, really good. So please, if councillors can, they see it, go along to those, because they need all the support they can get. I went and visited the college. I've been there before to meet their student council, but they gave me a full tour of their facilities. I don't know how many councillors have been down there and seen what they've got down there, but it is incredible. On our doorstep, what they're helping both locally and nationally with the children, it's amazing. And the farm and the gardening and the woodworking, just the projects that were involved down there, it was humbling. It was beautiful to go and see. So I'm really grateful for that. Little fun one that I'm just going to highlight was we had the students from Bourg de Piage come over with picnic, and they came and had a tour of Eastcourt, and they had lots of fun crossing the Meridian line, and they were absolutely charming. They were so much fun. They just love looking at all the previous mayor's portraits, and they love looking around the building, and that was a really nice moment for Catton Twinning to see them come to our town. We enjoy it. On a similar vein, I've had a couple of beaver and cub groups come and giving them tours, and I'm firmly establishing the fact, I think it is, town clerk, that you told me that this building is haunted.
Secret.
And it was lovely. It was night time, and they were out the front, and the caretaker was moving around the building, turning lights on and off as he went around. And then he walked past the door and it opened, and he'd never heard 30 kids scream so much in all your life. But it was brilliant. And it's those moments that make you step back and actually look at how lucky we are as a council to have such beautiful building and such amazing grounds to host and chair our meetings in, and the rich history of the building. So I really enjoyed those. So they're the highlights that I've done. I'm not going to bore you anymore with that, but we do have my Mayor's Ball coming up this month, which is very exciting. I know that not everyone could get a ticket, as it sold out in 18 hours. I broke the tradition a little bit and invited my friends and work colleagues and my wife work colleagues before the civic list, and got in all sorts of trouble with the town clerk for that. But within 18 hours, it was sold out with a waiting list. So hopefully it will be a good night and we can raise lots of money for Queen Victoria Hospital. My goal was to try and raise £20,000 for them. So hopefully we're on track for that. But that concludes my announcements. And I'm going to pass over to the town leader.
Thank you, Tama. It doesn't seem 5 minutes ago since I was standing up doing this, and I really don't have anything much new to add. But for those of you that haven't read the minutes of the FNGP, just to let you know that the old police station now has a completion of sale. So we'll be moving forward, and the town clerk will be completing documents for correction of land registry, because there was a little bit of a thing going on with that. But obviously we've still got the partition wall to sort out, and obviously we have the access. So it's really important that you're all aware of that. There's nothing really more to add to that at the moment, but just so that everybody's up to speed with that. And one other thing, we have had reports in now from the bridges at St Margaret's Loop, and we'll be looking to move forward with that project. So the next stage, baby steps, but they are baby steps. They're definitely climbing that ladder at the moment. So not much more to say on that. So I'm pleased to announce those two things this evening. Thank you. Thank you, Tama.
Thank you, town leader. Item number 7 is to discuss any business outstanding from the last meeting. I understand there is none. Item number 8 was meant to be principal council update from Mid Sussex District Council. Unfortunately, the monitoring officer sent apologies, able to come, but we will rebook him for another night. So we've got a bit of a gap in the agenda there. Item number 9 is to receive and consider the minutes of the committees. We will start with Councillor Odie for planning.
Before I start, I'd just very much like to thank the committee for their hard work this year. We've had a few difficult things to discuss, but I think we've actually worked through them really well, and I'm very proud of what we've achieved this year with everybody. So thank you very much to our committee members. I would like to propose the following planning minutes, page numbers and minute numbers from the 31st of January 2024, page numbers 156 to 161, minutes 290 to 296. Also, planning meeting on the 19th of February 2024, page numbers 162 to 169, and minutes 297 to 303. Also, planning meeting on the 11th of March, page numbers 180 to 183, and minutes 329 to 336. And lastly, we're pleased to know, is the 3rd of April 2024, page numbers 194 to 200, and minutes numbers 364 to 370. I would like to propose those. May I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Person. Has anybody got any queries or questions? No? All those in favour? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Odie, planning is the busiest committee, and you've done exceptionally. Thank you for the last year. Can you stand up again and give him a follow?
Yes, I would also like to thank the Environmental and Sustainable Travel Committee, our brand new committee. I think we are just starting to see the rewards of the hard work that everyone's put into that committee at the moment, and there's still a long way to go, I know, but it's very exciting. I would like to propose the minutes from the meeting on the 29th of February 2024, pages 170 to 173, and minutes 304 to 316. May I have a second?
Happy to second that.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Does anybody have any questions with regards to the minutes? All those in favour?
Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we on to Councillor Whittaker, Public Services, please.
Thank you, Town. Yes, I'd like to report on the meeting of the Public Services Committee on the 7th of March 2024. I'd like to thank the committee for the hard work on the 4 very, very busy, quite lengthy meetings over the past year. I thank my Vice Chair, Councillor Reeves. We covered a lot of ground again on the minutes, which are pages 174 to 179 inclusive, minute numbers 317 and 328. But a significant part of the work this year and in the last meeting was the highway situation, West County Council Highways. I'd like to also thank Councillor Gibson in particular for his effort for his report, which is in the minutes, and his work throughout the year in updating. We still await a formal schedule of works from the County Council on roads, which we hope the Town Clerk will receive in the meeting with the Highways Officer. Good news is that Heathcote Drive has been resurfaced this week, so that's good news. Further updates on pharmacies, the sale of the Lloyd's pharmacies, dentists, been a lot of publicity about those, modality, health update again, that we touched on that. We've had dialogue with the food bank, and they are setting up a coordinated agency within the town. And we are liaising formally through the clerk and providing website communications access there. Update on Inverhorn School, because the headmaster is leaving, or has left now. So they have recruited a replacement who will start in September. We also touched upon the parking charge increases that Mid Sussex Council had just announced at the time of the meeting. Various updates to CCTV and Loudwills Lane improvements, which is good news. Disappointing on police matters, because on the evening, Inspector Derrick couldn't be with us for operational reasons. But also the Town Clerk and the committee have been in communication contact with the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner, and the Town Clerk sent them really quite a summary rescripted from November, and we frankly got a disappointing reply from the Office of the Crime Commissioner, which I know the Town Clerk has gone back on to try and seek further clarification. We had another excellent presentation from Queen Victoria Hospital, James Lowell, who's the Chief Executive, very impressive. They're up to 60 apprenticeships now. Superb presentation by a new green contractor, which is Glendale, and I would like to thank Mr. Shelley from the Sports Council who attended that meeting and has been working closely, more from him. So we hope that Glendale, who've taken over from ID Verde, will hit the ground running, and that will be successful. And lastly, but not least, really good news on the youth project. Our Town Council Officer, Alice Fletcher, working with other stakeholders and the Town Clerk, has sourced a youth club resource, and was presented to finance and general purposes. So overall, really another comprehensive meeting, covered a lot of ground. So I'd like to propose those minutes, if I could have a second. Thank you, Councillor Reeves. I'm happy to take any questions. Tell me.
Any questions, sir?
Then if I could propose those minutes for adoption, please. All those in favour? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Felton, Communities and Tourism, please.
Thank you very much, Town Mayor. Echoing the appreciation of members of other committees, thank you to everybody who served on the Meetings and Tourism Committee over the last year. Most recent meeting was on the 14th of March and is represented through minutes number 337 to 349. Just the only update I'm proposing to give is we're all aware of the long saga regarding the renovation of getting the High Street old water fountain to be back in working order, and it will be opening on the 19th of April, and I'm pleased to report that the Town Council has now signed a licence for the ongoing maintenance, so the Town Council has fulfilled all its obligations that we originally set out to fulfil to help get this fountain in working order, and I hope it will be well received by the community when it's back in action. So I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, could I have a seconder for the minutes? Thank you, Councillor Hughes, and thank you for all your work as Vice Chair over the last year. In fact, it's much appreciated. Can I take those minutes with a show of hands then, please? Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, can we go for F&GP?
Thank you, Tom. I do love going last, do the thanks that everybody has already. It's always looked so little, doesn't it? So I would like to thank my committee. We have done it a year now, and it's the end of the financial year, and we're starting on with a new one. So out with the old and in with the new, very much with the financial general purposes. Just to bring to note, really, we did cover a lot of policies. There's a lot of policies being updated and reviewed. So have a look at the list that was on the minutes, and it also was agreed not only about the youth provision but also about a working group for shared services, which Councillor Whitaker will be leading. So thank you to the committee for agreeing all of those. So I would like to thank the committee, and I'd like to propose the minutes of the meeting of 21st of March 2024, pages 188 to 193, minute numbers 350 to 362. Please may I have a second?
363.
363, I beg your pardon. Thank you. Any questions? Maybe I move to adopt the minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, guys, and thank you to all the chairs and everyone for last year's work. We've had some really positive outcomes, and I think some really, by the sounds of it, there some really good foundations laid for things to push forward into next year. So well done, and thank you all for your hard work. I know how much time you give up for it. Item number 10 is to authorise the sealing of the following documents. 1. Grant of executive burial right numbers 2314, 2315, 2316 and 2317. And 2. Amended leases for Orchids, Paddingtons and Greenstead Talking News regarding the deed of release for the land swap concerning the error on the land registry deeds. I'd like to propose those. Okay. Anybody got any questions on either of those things? In that case, now show of hands, please. Thank you. Item number 11 is update from East Grinstead Sports Council. If I can invite Mr. Shelley to give us an update, please.
Thank you, Tanya, and good evening, councillors. Before I start, just briefly by giving those of you that don't understand kind of the background of the Sports Council and its origins, just a couple of minutes to explain its origins. They go back to 2009, when the then town clerk, Chris Holly, wanted to thought it would be a good idea in conjunction with the sports community to pull together a sports development plan for the town. And he invited and easily got, which was a portent for the future, easily got a number of sports clubs representatives to come along, me being one of them, to help to start that work and subsequently help them with it. There was a second iteration of the sport development plan 2 or 3 years later, and the seed had then been sown for a kind of collectivism, if you like, and community spirit amongst the sports clubs. And that's what's happened ever since. And I've been involved with it right from the start, right from the very first meeting that Chris organised. Most of the time since I've been leading it. And I thought I'd just explain to you, first of all, the 3 principal dimensions of the Sports Council, its activities and work. The first thing is that we have a quarterly forum, quarterly meeting, if you like. I like to call it a forum because it's much more coming together of our community of clubs than a formal kind of meeting in the sense that this is. And at that, they network with each other. And by the way, it's all the sports clubs and representatives of sports organisations and anybody else that has an interest in sport in the town. And we actually would welcome members of the public and always invite them to any of our meetings. So it's a completely open forum for sports organisations and people interested in it. Now, the representatives come together and a number of things happen. We have presentations by the clubs about what they're doing. We tend to have one of them does a fuller presentation most meetings about their history and so on. We have subject matter experts on subjects that would interest sports clubs, for example, funding and insurance for sports clubs and things like that. And we also have present some sports news and updates by the clubs on their challenges and successes and those kind of things. Does anybody want to get that fun? And it also has to be said, given I'm in a local government forum here, that we have local government representation in the Sports Council as well, in the form of, from the town we have Councillor Odie, from the district we have Chris Hobbs, from the county we have Ian Gibson, and Rex is, with his enthusiasm for sports, is involved as well. So we have kind of local government representation as well, and they can see what's going on. So that's the first of the quarterly forum. And last year, one of our meetings had our record attendance in the probably 15 years since we've been going now. So it's continuing to increase people that attend it. The second thing we do is in between forums and all the year round, we do sport support work. We have an informal leadership team that plans that work and sees things coming and undertakes the work to support local sport. And the third thing we have is, and this is much newer in the making, is we have a digital platform for local sport. That's principally social media, and I'll talk more fully about that when I talk in detail about what's happened in the last year or so. All of that together makes us, and this is, I know we say this often, one we're saying it, but for those of you that haven't heard it, it is interesting to make this point. For all of that together gives us an exemplar in our town and local area for sports representation, and it's a real differentiator for our area and gives us some real value, which you'll see when I talk about some of our activities. And John, I'd like some money for every time Rex has said that. So let me first of all report one of the principal things I wanted to do was tell you what we've been doing in 2023. We had 4 of those forums meetings, excellent. On one of them, I think it was the April one, had a record attendance. We've also worked to find new participants to that meeting. What clubs don't we know about that don't know about us? We've got them to come along. Taekwondo, disabled swimming, pickleball, archery, and many more. The clubs that existed, but they weren't aware of us, so we've got many of them to come along. Probably the biggest growth we've seen in any single year. We've also had some great presentations on a whole range of subjects, which I couldn't begin to go into, but some of them have been very impressive. The work we've done, I talked about the work we do as a sports council. The work we've done this year, some interesting examples are, to give you an example of how we work with individual clubs. We've done a lot of work over the last couple of years, but quite a lot in 2023 as well, with our local cycling club. The things we've been doing this year with them is to help them find the location for their junior initiative. The first time we've got them to get involved in the way that many sports clubs do, the development of juniors at their particular activity. It was something they'd never done in the past. So we've helped them develop that particular aspect of the club, and because of some kind of coaching classes they wanted to run, we helped them find a site. As it happens, it was Blackland, and that didn't last very long, for all the reasons that we know locally. We also help the cycling club get involved, as indeed they should, because cycling is not only a sports activity, it's also a community activity. It's quite unusual among sports clubs, but that's the case. So we've got the cycling club interested in and willing to help with the Kiddie Mass Bike Rallies, which are so successful. I'll be surprised if you haven't heard about those from Councillor Odie. And the next one's in June? Yes, June. some more work we've been doing, Rex made reference to it earlier on, is on the grounds, green spaces contract and the grounds maintenance for all of our pitches. This was an example of an exercise where the community spirit that we've got and the collaborative nature of the group worked well for us, because I was able to pull together the chairs of some of the clubs that use pitches and develop our preparation for the new style contract and engaging with the new contractor, and already give him some background to what it was we were looking for and the extent to which and the style with which we were prepared to work with them collaboratively as we move forward. And you heard Nick talk about that at the recent meeting. So, and that collaboration with Glendale, and the jury is out on what the results will be, because clearly we haven't seen the condition of the pitches very much yet, but we've got the collaborative relationship in place, which is going to, I think, work well for us. And it's an example of the kind of power of the Sports Council. Power is the wrong word, of what the Sports Council enables us to do because of the collaboration and the community to deliver things like that. Whereas if we didn't have that, each individual club might have its own relationship with that pitch maintenance, and it's very, very fragmented and sporadic. So that's another thing we've done. And the third thing we've done is develop further our digital platform, and it's principally at the moment Facebook, which is has a bad reputation for some things, but it is a very adult medium these days. It's not a young people medium, and I'm sure you guys see both the difficulties of and the benefits of the discussion about some of the things you do on it's got benefits and downsides. It's the same with us the sport, although much more upsides. So we're celebrating, we've got a Facebook group, we're celebrating great things, like we've got a world champion kickboxer in Lawn School, we've got a hockey club that's won the Premier League, all that stuff. And a Crawley Down lad that played on a PGA Tour event last week, and so on. We're also widening our coverage with the digital platform and continuing to grow our audience. And another thing we can do is attract people to participate in some of the things that are going on, like the Clinical Mass Fight Rally, and there's ways groups can link up and Facebook groups can link up. So that's what we're doing this year. I also wanted to talk to you about what we plan to do we started doing in 2024, and what we plan to do with the rest of it. We'll continue with the grounds maintenance collaboration, and I hope to be able to report in due course some positive news about that. We've also, and I think I mentioned this the last time I was here, we've also taken it upon ourselves, because of the deficit that we've got in playing pitches by comparison with the perceived and calculated inventory of them that we need from the strategic work that's been done at district. We also have been looking at ways by working with whoever needs to be involved, we can recover the lost to sport pitches at Iscore. And those pitches have been allowed to fall into dreadful condition, and such that none of our football clubs use them. And that's awful when you consider the place those pitches could have, and in the past have had in our pitch inventory. So we're working on that, and also involved in that will be the East Grinstead Memorial Estate and Lloyd and his team. I've also taken it upon myself to look for how we can grow our sports facilities, and the most prominent opportunity that presents itself at the moment, aside from the major controversy surrounding it as well, is the Inverhorn farm development. Now, I make no apologies for the fact that I'm going to focus on the sports facilities in the work that I do about that development, and if I can, make sure that we get the best possible facilities for our town and for our area. Setting aside all the other stuff that we're involved in that planning application. Already the signs are good. I have to say the signs are that we have a deficit in the area of 2 all-weather floodlit surfaces for our clubs to use. For training pitches, rather like the one in the sports club. We have a deficit of going on 2 of those. And this facility, if we can get community use, and that's another thread to the discussion with both Welbeck and the school, if we can get community use, that has the potential for a big win for us in terms of what we're trying to do on our pitch inventory. Also in our plans for 2024, and Clinical Mass Fight Rally is at the heart of this as well, is what we can do to improve the health of our community through activity and movement. Because one of the very, very important things that's going on at the moment, everything to do with sport, top to bottom, Sport England, you know, GB, and everybody, is the importance of the other end of sport from the competitive and elite environment, and that's just simply getting our nation off the couch and active, and even if it's only moving, and you'll see much of the strategic stuff we see around sport now uses those words, activity and movement. So we as a sports council need to turn over time to turn our attention not just from supporting our excellence in sport and the kickboxing champions and the squash under 14 British champion, all those things which are happening locally, to help out you guys and everybody that's involved improve the health of our community. And if for no other reason, you guys are more aware than me nationally that one of the ways we can improve the health of the nation and reduce the dependence on the NHS is to take it by ourselves, to make ourselves healthier and prevent disease. So sport has a role in that, and we're trying to fold that where we can into what we do. And as I said, a good example is the support for the kids and mass bike rally. And hot off the press on the cycling for movement today, and thank you to Councillor Odey for this, is the notion of a bike bus to one of our schools, which is where the children, instead of, if they want to ride to school, the children, instead of having their own parents find some way and the time to escort them to school, the school develops through a community collaboration, develops a bike chain, if you like, that rides to the school, supervised by properly qualified people who can marshal it. And there's another example that's hot off the press. That's only saw that on the wires today, as it were. So that's the kind of stuff we do. And finally, one of the things we do is we support new sports when they want to come to town. Now, the shining example of that is the support we gave to a group of people who wanted to start a parkrun in East Grinstead. After the 6 or 7 years in the early days saying, I wish we had a parkrun, a group of people presented themselves on, didn't quite grab them by the neck, but I helped them as much as I could. So that's how we got the paddle. We helped them get a parkrun in his school. I also linked another thing there, which is I'm working with a group of people who are trying to bring the new sport of paddle tennis to East Grinstead up at the sports club. And I'm working as a sports council representative with them to try and help bring that, whatever I can add to the project that brings paddle to the town as well, in the form of 4 new courts at St. Hill. Now, so that's what the sports council is, what we did in 2023 and what we've got in store for this year. Finally, I wanted to ask for your help, and it's in a particular area, particularly to those of you at District Council. Now, you will have noticed, I've said, an emphasis on pitches in our work at present, the stock of pitches that we've got, both their maintenance and the quantity. And it's on the quantity of pitches that we've got that I believe you may be able to help in some way. Because there's only so much that we can do at the Sports Council. At times need the help of people who've got genuine influence in the company that's going on. So lots of work was done pre-COVID at district level on a playing pitches strategy, including some money spent on some consultants. I brought a smile to Councillor Bell's face. Including some work done by consultants, and it was taken to council in 2020, and included in that was an indicative action plan. And that identified several priority projects for action in 2020, in the 20 to 24 window. None of that I'm aware of has happened, and certainly none of it, the priority projects that were in our area, have we seen any developments on. And at the same time, we've seen some excellent developments in the other 2 areas of our district. For example, the Centre for Outdoor Sport and a large cricket pavilion elsewhere. Worse than that, one of the priority projects on that implementation plan was improvements to the East Court pitches. So bear in mind what I said about earlier on about the work we want to do to improve that. And underlying all of this is an issue that formal sport wasn't being prioritised by comparison with spending the similar funds on leisure in parks and so on under the previous administration. And in fact, in conjunction with the town mayor, we wrote saying so in 2020, if you remember that, town clerk, not the mayor, town clerk. We wrote saying so. So the question I want to ask you guys is, can you help me bring forward the intention that was evident in all of that consultancy work and all of the other work that was done around it? Can you help me bring some of that forward so that we can see the benefits for our local sports community in the same way that we are elsewhere in the district? Okay.
Thank you.
I will be engaging with you to see if that helps. That's me.
Ask a question.
Anyone got any questions that they would like to ask?
Thank you.
Recent years, there has been a real upsurge in ladies' teams, whether it's football, rugby, cricket, and has the success come to East Grinstead? Have we had an uptake in the numbers of girls playing in the various sports?
You wouldn't believe the number of girls teams the football club have got. It's actually almost astonishing, the pace of development in that. Also, at the higher end, at the elite end, of course, our big club won the UK National Indoor Champions. And they've got a wonderful kind of setup for girls there. And that's mirrored in almost all of the sports clubs. Our cycling club, I talked about how the sports council has helped them develop. One of the ways we wanted them to develop, because they hardly had any female activities at all, they now have got about 35% of their membership of girls and ladies, and the girls are equally active on the Saturday rides and all the other activities they do. So you're absolutely right. It's definitely
That's great.
on the
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tama. No, thank you for that update. And just from my perspective, I'm very familiar, as many of the district councils are, with that play pitch study. And it's been the subject of much debate over time. And I think all of us probably got a slightly different perspective as to how valuable that was and where the priorities were all in the right, given the right priority. And of course, it then did get affected by COVID. It was post 2020, and it never seems to have really got the right focus back. So I think it's a good point that you make. Obviously, feel free to ask any public questions as well at district, or otherwise, I'm sure the district councillors around this table would be keen to take that forward as a relative progression. But I understand the point.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure that the new administration was as keen on conservative strategies that were done in 2020. I'd just like to come back on, right? I mean, I've been to a few of these meetings, and in particular, I mean, I highlight the April one, which was at the Volume 1 Climbing Centre, which is the Bouldering Centre. I didn't know what the Bouldering Centre was, and just the number in there. And you realise what a fantastic facility you have right on your doorstep in Felbridge, you know, so that's easily accessible. And one of the things that we shouldn't forget is that we have, as a result of all the development we've had, we've got an awful lot of S106 money. S106 money has to be sent on capital projects, and it will be leaked away in the way that these things are. The problem is actually getting the ideas turned into reality, and I think that's the good thing. It's maybe the one good thing about Imberhorn Farm Development, in that the developer is actually going to take forward and build themselves, rather than handing, as so often happens, a stock of money which goes and sits in some bank account while one of the councils tries to work out what to do with it, because it is development. I thoroughly take the point. I think Anstey Cricket Pavilion is a bit of an old one, and I think that if I remember correctly, the funding level was actually only a few percent. It was 10% or something in the final closing the budget on the last 100 that came out of the council. But clearly the Centre for Sport, only funded by Homes England. We could do with one of those, and that's going to begin a new hockey pitch as well at the Triangle. And very good to see the Haywards Heath Rugby Club coming into it, but it is definitely East Grinstead turn. I mean, that's what I really was. The other thing that I've noted is that, again, it's all linked to development, but I know Copthall are absolutely racing ahead with their plans for a new football stadium. with also obviously aspirations to get, I think, level 6 or something, so where they're intending to end up. And that is, of course, again, if it's developer built, will be excellent. But just to commend Bob on all that he does, because so it's good to tie these things together. And maybe the Ashdown Forest Line Association will get a
Councillor Whitaker.
I was just, Councillor Gibson has stolen all of my thunder, so I could completely echo the comments. I've been working with Bob for well over a decade on this, and his colleague Richard Lamont as well, who's heavily involved in, and the two of them are a fantastic double act. And just come back on council, Mrs. Belsey, I attended a very large rugby youth event yesterday, and in every age category from under 7s to 11s, girls teams were fully represented from most clubs across the whole of Sussex, which was fantastic to see.
Well done.
Brilliant. All councillors have asked questions, and I think, Town Clerk, you wanted to.
I've just got a little something I'd like to pass on to Bob while he's here. I met with Phil Cox the other day, who is the Glendale area manager. So he is specifically for us. And if you've not as yet met with him, there's two people you need to meet with. One lady is called Sam Smith. When Nick came to Public Services, he told us about these people who were starting in their roles. Well, they've now started. So Sam Smith is the Community Development Officer, and Phil Cox is the landscaping contract for the Mid-Sussex area. And I met with them the other day. We spoke specifically about the green areas and the sports pitches, and I certainly did talk at length about the state of the East Court pitches. So he's very aware of all of that, and yes, very willing to listen. So I would advise, if you've not met with him yet, you might want to set up a meeting.
Yeah. When you say, what's the definition of area in Phil Cox? You mean north area?
No, I think he's the whole of Mid-Sussex. So he is specifically for looking after the sort of 3 towns and the area around it. He had been up here. He came to meet with me one day last week, and he had been here over the Easter weekend with his family on East Court, looking to see what the facilities were and really understanding. He obviously doesn't live in Mid-Sussex area, but he's close-ish. But he really wanted to get to know his patch.
That's
and
Phil Cox.
that was Phil Cox, and that was really, really good to hear it.
Was he hosted at East Court by the Memorial Estate?
I don't know. He came specifically to meet with me, and he had a good wander around whilst he was here, because I saw him several times in the next half hour or so out of various windows. So he did a good wander around with Sam Smith, but he'd been on the estate during the weekend. But he was really keen, really engaged, and I strongly advise a discussion.
You raised another thing I wanted to say in my presentation. You just permit me to say one more thing. No. One of the other interesting things about the East Court, which is I'm taking no pleasure from saying it, I've said it to some of you before in a meeting where you weren't all there, is one interesting consequence of the state of the East Court pitch is principally, but it's not the only reason, this is that some of the clubs that use them are using pitches outside of the district to play their matches. And those pitches are immaculately prepared and have got the extra uses of our teams and still are up to scratch. It's just, so there's a Glendale component to that going forward, and also a pitch infantry component, and also a bit of a Memorial Estate component as well, because they want the sport pitches restored because it's part of their remit. So,
Thank you.
yeah, one final thing, open invitation to all of you. If you want to come to the next Sports Council meeting, it's April the 17th at the football club down the road. Thank you for coming.
Excellent. Deputy Town Mayor, would you like to do a vote of thanks, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd just like to reassure everybody that I didn't preempt Bob with all the plugs for Kiddickle Bass in his presentation, but it was very welcome. And I have to say that Bob is a very keen supporter, and is fantastic and helps promote that event, as he does with all other sporting events within the town. Under his stewardship, the Sports Council has thrived, really, and to the point where he's had to start even earlier. because there's so many people coming along. So that's obviously a huge testament to Bob. East Grinstead really does punch above its weight, I think, with stuff like this. And I think with Bob at the helm of the Sports Council, he's promoting how good the town and the community are at sport. And there's no denying it. I think everybody involved, from volunteers to those actually taking part in the games, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Really proud to be part of the East Grinstead community from that aspect. And it's a brilliant example of how collaboration brings value to the whole community. So yes, I would like to thank Bob for his presentation coming in tonight. So thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you. Item number 12 is to note the casual vacancy that has arisen. Just a small update for council that we have not had confirmation of the details around the count, but when the clerk gets this, you'll let councillors know for information. The count is not open for all. Anyone other than the candidates who want to go have to register with Mid Sussex District Council in advance. Okay, that's just for noting.
Noted.
Thank you, Councillor Gill.
I believe the count will be on Sunday.
I've not been told any information yet, so thank you.
Yeah, we're waiting just for further confirmation. Well, thank you, but and it is nice to know that we've got two of the candidates in the room tonight. So, welcome, gentlemen.
So, sorry, will that be the Sunday of the bank holiday weekend? So that's marathon weekend.
Just can just tell you that it came up this afternoon.
Thank
I
you.
don't think I'm
It's
giving away
really
any secrets when I say
Well, you can do that easily, can't you?
you can't separate it from the police and crime commission.
Get yourself in quite trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pecking order.
Item number 13 is outside body representatives. The Friends of East Grinstead Museum have contacted the council to advise that their constitution requires a nominated representative from the town council. The council has not allocated a council member to the group for a few years, but this is now being asked to be reappointed. Councillor Mrs Mockford has indicated that she'd be happy to sit on the Friends group on the council's behalf. Recommendation is to appoint Councillor Mockford to represent the town on the Friends of East Grinstead Town Museum. I'd like to propose that, please. Can I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. Any counter? In that case, I'm going to show of hands to adopt. That was tense for a minute there.
Maybe sounds like we all vote again.
Item number 14 is the procedure on the death of a senior national figure. Chirpy one to end on. Council will be aware that Operation London Bridge was the code name for the protocol of arrangements following the death of HM Queen Elizabeth II. We are advised that the new code name for the King Charles is Operation Menai Bridge. Recommendation is to approve the revised protocol. I'd like to propose that.
I will second that. Check.
Thank you. And can I show of hands in favour of that? Thank you. I'd like to, before I end, we can take a moment just to say a big thank you to you all for being a wonderful council over the last year of my mayoral term. I'll get to do a bit more in mayor making, but it's the last full council. I wanted to just say a big thank you and how lovely it's been to chair a council that has been so coherent in its views and drive, that to get a budget across the line where everyone is pretty much in support of it, and just we've all worked together really well to try and get something together cross party, shall we say. So thank you for that. And I've thoroughly enjoyed being chairman of the council, and it is with a slight sadness that I remind you that the next meeting is Monday the 13th of May, and I close this meeting at 7:50 tonight.
Well done.